Let's learn how we can pack our entire life away so that we can travel anywhere in the world, carefree, and do whatever we want. All right, y'all, I'm gonna break this video down into 3 major parts. This first part is gonna be the packing part, right? I'm gonna go over all the implications of quite literally packing your entire life away, what that means, different tools I use, such as compressing the clothes, U-Haul boxes, tips like that. Second part of this video is I'm gonna go over more of the implications of what you should actually travel with. And the last part of the video is like, wait, are we actually doing this? What are the implications of this and insurance that should be involved? So let's do this first part of the video, which is I go over how the heck do we even pack our life away, which is a lot more complex than it sounds, or I guess maybe that does sound complex. But first steps first, public storage, storage unit, that is how I'm proceeding, right? So this is all my stuff over here, and let me show you some boxes. So the first one we got here is a compressing of the clothes, right? When I used to travel, I used to do trash bags, not smart, but you might as well compress all your clothes into these nice little sleek bags. I also want to mention everything that you see in this video will be in the description down below. You can check it out on Amazon. You know how it is. Very fast shipping, very fast. Within 2 days, maybe 1 day, maybe even same day. Idea though is compress it. Later in this video you're watching right now, I do like a short 2-minute clip of just how to even do this, but clothes are compressed. Next is the good old fashioned U-Haul box. So we're technically not moving, but you already know how it goes with U-Haul. Very cheap, very good boxes that you can use if you wanted to move, but you're storing your life away. So we're gonna use U-Haul boxes here just to store like all the misc stuff that we still care about, we don't want to throw away. We put in a U-Haul box today. We can also get very creative, very creative. So if you know me, or if you don't know me, I really like coffee, and I've been in Texas for the last year. They got some really good, Keurig cups here. These boxes are pretty good, really sturdy. So I've been putting a ton of stuff in these little coffee boxes. So I got 3 back there. These are nice just to chuck stuff in, tape up, really nice and secure. Another classic is the Amazon box, right? Repurposing Amazon boxes. This is extremely heavy. This is like all my dishes, but repurposing Amazon boxes is nice as well if you don't want to spend money on those U-Haul boxes, which are probably only like $5 for like 5 or something like that. But let me show you the last couple stuff here. Last couple stuff, you're gonna pack how you want to pack, right? So like my little world map over there, I might do a cover on it, I might not. I know for my golf set here, I'm probably gonna put like a trash bag over it just to give it a little bit of protection. For the most part though, what you see behind me is everything I am going to be putting in this storage locker. I'm also gonna be covering my car here as well, AC unit. The next question might be is what the heck are the costs, Corbin? So cost is gonna depend state by state, obviously, right? If you live in a more expensive state, it's probably gonna cost more. I live in Texas, so it's probably a little bit on the higher end, but as a baseline, right now this unit right here is charging me around 140 USD. And this is a big unit, y'all. This can fit my entire life and my car right here. Another thing you need to take into account of is that not only are you gonna pay for the fixed fee of just the unit itself, but you also need to pay for the underlying insurance for the unit. What's nice about public storage is that they kind of have a tag on insurance. I think it's called Orange, and the rates go for Texas at least 15 USD a month additional. Now the last piece of insurance that is fundamental is gonna be your actual car insurance. So my advice I can give you on that is that whatever your current rate is probably gonna be half. So if you're paying $200 a month on car insurance, slash in half, it's probably gonna be around $100 just for you to store the unit, and a fire happens, theft happens, the thing blows up, you're still covered. That's one big theme you're gonna notice in this video is this first phase here of packing your entire life away. Obviously this is kind of like the standard high stress situation where you're just putting your stuff away, get rid of it, but also the implications of insurance for a lot of this stuff. Obviously insurance is up to your discretion, right? So you can do what you want to do. Some stuff is required, some stuff's not required, as I'll discuss later in this video. I know for sure that Orange insurance that you get right off the bat for a public storage unit, that's required, of course, right? If this completely collapses or destroys all my stuff, you're covered to an extent, right? So that covers the actual packing of the unit. Everything that you ever lived can be put into a storage locker. Obviously, the less stuff you have, the easier this process will go. But for now, let's jump to the next part of the video. So we're back in my place. Let's go over those 3 columns that I referenced earlier. First one being storage, travel items and stuff you should actually go with / your person. And the last big one here, which is insurance. These 3 are general categories of how we should approach this traveling. So let's knock it off one by one. First one, storage. You already got a good idea on storage now. You've seen it in the first half of the video. We're talking about public storage or any type of mainstream storage locker. That's what we're opting for. In the underlying storage, there's gonna be insurance you gotta pay. And then if you go one step further here and you actually need to store a car, that's gonna be another piece of insurance you need to pay. for the car, and for the locker itself. That's storage. Storage is everything you've ever owned in your entire life. Put it in a box, auf Wiedersehen. So now you got an overview on storage, and let me know if there's comments down below. We're going to our next one, which is travel items. Travel items really encompass everything you're bringing, right? For me, it's gonna be one backpack and one duffel. You already saw earlier in this video the backpack, and then probably in other videos on this channel, you'll see the duffel, one backpack, one duffel, we're good to go. Next is obviously a phone, preferably a smartphone. As with phone, we can also do eSIM. Now, I'm gonna do a whole nother video on this channel about eSIM and when you're traveling to different countries, what's the best way to get cellular data at a cost-effective rate, because a lot of like the big plans, like really big plans, they basically overcharge you, and then they have like term limits where it's like you can only be out of the country for 30 days. So there'll be a whole video on eSIMs. For now though, that's what you need to know. Phone, eSIM. And then within this, your duffel will be your clothes, you know, other items, etc. So you need a backpack, you need a duffel, and you need your phone. Then within your backpack has how you're gonna make your money. So as a digital nomad, you're probably gonna make your money through a laptop and an internet connection. So knowing that, that is the fundamental things you need to have on your person. As you are traveling, you're traveling light. It's kind of the purpose of being digital nomad, and that's why you're able to actually live on only around $20 a day when that takes into account for actual living cost and the underlying food. That's a whole separate topic for another time. So what else do we need for travel items? We also need a visa depending on where you're going. So visa, depending on the location and where you're traveling to, it really depends, right? So for Australia, for example, if you're a US citizen, it requires you to get a visa to even come into the country. Weird vice versa thing, if you're an Australian, hello random text. If an Australian were to come to the USA, they actually don't even need a visa. They could be there for 90 days. So it really depends on your jurisdiction and where you're coming from. That right there is just a simple little ChatGPT chat like, hey, I'm going to XYZ country. Do I need a visa if I'm a US citizen? If I'm a Australian citizen, if I'm a New Zealand citizen, etc. Some countries have mutual relationships, like if you're a US citizen and you go to Korea, you don't really need a visa. Take this all with a grain of salt. I'm not a travel agent, okay? I'm not a travel agent. Next two fundamental things for your person here. The next one obviously is you're gonna want to find your living, where you're gonna live. So usually plan ahead for living, whether that's a hostel, co-living, maybe even a hotel, but if you're doing digital nomad, probably a hostel or co-living. And then the final thing is going to be essentially canceling every single subscription that is to your life that you just don't need anymore. So sub buy. What do I mean by this? Right now I'm living in an apartment. In an apartment, I got to pay for parking, gas, electricity, Wi-Fi, all these different little minuscule monthly recurring charges I have to pay for. But now I don't because I'm traveling and I'm mobile. So cancel everything. Do a clean, go through your card statements, be like, okay, I definitely don't need this anymore, cancel. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a video later on this channel, so you should check it out here, where I break this down and I'm gonna create a burn Excel sheet of my own expenses as a digital nomad, and I'm gonna share it with you. So not only are you gonna get a template that you can use yourself, but also you're gonna give a real perspective of the actual underlying costs associated with doing this kind of digital nomad traveling and working as well. I mean, I can tell you right off the bat, based off my rough numbers, I'm probably paying 40% to 50% less per month by doing this than I was by just staying in Texas and living here. And those numbers would probably be very much higher if I lived in New York, Manhattan, California, Los Angeles, like very expensive pieces of real estate out there would be way more expensive than Texas. So comparably, probably a way better deal if you were to leave those areas. Last little bonus tip here is your health. I'm not gonna touch on this topic for too long, as your health is your health and each person's different. But one thing I did personally, as I referenced in an earlier video, was I used Passport Health. I believe it's called Passport Health. Essentially, you just walk in, tell them the locations you're going to, get a health check, get the vaccines you need depending on that location, et cetera, right? This is personal. This is like your discretion. Up to you. Obviously, your health is very important because that's what keeps you alive. But here comes the last one and the big one, insurance. So there is a couple things with insurance here. The first one that you already saw is the storage locker and your underlying car insurance if you have a car. The next one is gonna be like your health insurance. So health. If you get in an accident, you need medicine or whatever, you're gonna want international health insurance. You're gonna wanna pay that monthly. The next one that I like doing and like opting for is some type of private property protection. Now, this really depends on your insurance provider, but some providers allow you to associate certain equipment and essentially be like, if it got stolen, it broke, whatever will compensate you. Now here's a nice little trick. If you have a Mac or you have Apple products, always accept Apple Care. Because Apple Care is an amazing deal, especially if you have very expensive equipment. Always accept Apple Care, as that will protect you as well. Now, I'm not an insurance provider, so obviously take everything I say with a grain of salt, but from my experience, do that. Regardless, health, private property. That covers most bases. When it comes to health, that's a very umbrella term, right? That could be dental health, mental health, physical health, Idea being choose what you need, proceed. That's the three main pillars though, of how to pack your entire life in a storage locker and leave. Every single one of those pillars right there, I can make a whole separate video dedicated to it, and I probably will. So stay tuned to this channel. I wanted to make a very concise video that just kind of gives you the whole loop around, right? The general overview of like, you know what? I want to leave. I want to be a digital nomad. Here's your general overview as a very last thing, as a baseline. When I talk about cost, there are ways to do digital nomad that's very cheap and a little bit more expensive. I know the way I'm going right now, my route, I'm kind of mid-tier. I know I could alternatively go down a route which would only really cost me $600 a month. But we're going to discuss more about that. We're going to discuss the implications of that and everything we need to know about that in future videos. So you already know how it goes. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.